Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and today I'm featuring the finished 70 Javelin Trans Am edition that I built and had been wanting to build for a while, but came out beautiful. But this is one, if you have been watching my channel, you have seen this one go from a stalled project where I was a little nervous about getting the paint done to now finished. So sharing it with you has renewed my excitement and getting this thing moving along. But so a little bit on the Trans Am Javelin edition. This is one of 100 that were actually made in this paint scheme and everything. These were spec'd out cars. There were literally no options. If you bought the Trans Am package, you got this car. There was literally no options. All of them came with the Magnum 500 wheels blacked out. Came with the Goodyear Polyglass tires, not the red lines or white lines. And I painted the blue lines on these tires because they were on there, but technically that's not correct. But since I had the actual Johan tires, I went ahead and did it that way. But all of these cars were pulled off the assembly line and spec'd out. They were frost white, the middle color, and AMC, they had their AMXs done in a similar paint scheme, but they were rushed and the paint quality was not well known. So when they decided they were going to do these cars, they did them in-house and they made sure that they spec'd them out, and they had the rocker molding delete, which, you know, all of the Javelins have the rocker moldings except this car. They were based on the SST, so they had the SST emblems, but no rocker molding, so that's one of the unique features of this car. And all of them got the Go package with the ram air hood and the 390, the 325 horse 390. All 100 got the manual 4-speed transmission and the buddy seat, which is something I added to this one, and the wood grain dash and wood grain steering wheel. And all of them got the front spoiler. A little controversy on whether or not they were shipped in the trunk or dealer installed. And then the Kaplan Engineering rear spoiler they all got, which was homologated for racing, which on the race cars was actually run upwards like that, which was how it was designed to be. But when you see the street cars, they're usually tilted back for mostly aesthetic reasons, or didn't really need all the extra downforce. So they were built that way. And another thing, they all had 391 rear gears, so they were literally all 100 were built exactly the same with the mirrors and the paint scheme. But the paint scheme was actually done in-house, and it was mainly done for AMC's quality. They wanted to make sure it was done really well, and the entire engine compartment was painted red. The front half is Matador red, and the rear half is Commodore blue, and the white section is frost white. But all the cars started off as frost white cars, pulled right off the assembly line. But and they were spec'd out. And AMC's original plan was they were only going to build 100, and they did stick to, they built 100, and there were 2,300 AMC dealers, so it was hard to choose who got one and who didn't. And at over $4,000 with all the options, they weren't planning on them to actually sell right away. They pretty much were expecting them to sit in showrooms and draw attention. They really weren't too concerned about actually selling them. They wanted them to stay in the showrooms and garner attention, but show that AMC was actually serious about racing their cars in the racing program. But so that's pretty much it on its story of the Trans Am Javelin, and one of the cars that I really like my Javelins, and you know, a lot of the pony cars, but Javelins are definitely one of my favorites, as you can tell on my channel. I've got a couple of them, and just one that I really like. I kind of like the AMC underdog story, and them going racing and having a good time with it, and for such a small program, doing actually pretty well. But for the model kit, though, it's a Johan kit. one that I bought to restore, and I had to remember because I was looking at the photos, because it was a built up I had picked up and saw it on eBay, and I actually bought it. It had the windows, and that was the main reason I bid on it, hoping to win. And I won it, and I used the glass, and I put the glass in my other 70 Javelin that was just about done. That was my all resin car, the Mark Donahue version that came up after this. I used the glass in that, and that finished that car. So this car, when I initially bought it, it had the glass, but it was missing the hood. It had a Ford 427 overhead camera motor in it, and but most everything else was there. It had 2 of the stock wheels, and it had 2 custom wheels, and I had 2 of the factory tires. I had all 4 of the stock wheels, so all I really needed to complete this was the engine, and that stuff that goes under the hood. And then I needed glass because I had robbed the glass from this one. And then I needed a couple of tires. So with some help with some friends, I put the word out that initially I was thinking about just turning around and selling this built up after I'd robbed the parts out of it. I'd done that a few times on eBay where I buy a built up, clean it up, use what I need, and what I don't use, put it back up on eBay. And sometimes I actually made more money selling it that way, especially parting it out sometimes, versus selling the remainder as a whole lot. Kind of funny it works out that way, but I didn't create the market, I just participate. But I decided I would hold on to this one and see if I can collect the parts. But I had a hard enough time finding the parts when I built that one. My other one, which you've seen, I did a video on it. There's my Mark Donahue one. But put it right next to each other. Like this one is virtually all resin other than the glass and a few parts. I have a full video on that, so if you want to see the build up on that. But the glass was robbed and used for that one. But there's one of the major differences, the spoiler. So you can see the 2 spoilers here. So, and then I had to scratch build some of this stuff. This one, the uprights are actually a piece of tin, and I had shaped and cut them and drilled them. The rear spoiler is 2 rear spoilers from the Revell Baldwin Motion 69 Camaro, which some of the other kits come with extra versions of that spoiler in them. But I used 2 of them, cut them, and molded them together to make it wide enough. The rest of the shape was pretty good, but that spoiler has some turn downs. So I had cut it, used the center section, but I used 2 of them to make it longer, and it has the airfoil shape to it. And it was nice and curved to match this body already, so kind of worked out that way. But so I had put the word out, and a friend of mine, Scotty in Tucson, he hooked me up with the engine and the 2 missing tires. So now I have original tires on here, Johan kit specific. And then like this one, they're just AMT tires and wheels, but I used what I had. I'll put that one away, but I love looking at both of them side by side. And then I did some other checking. Model Haus had shut down, so I wasn't able to get a hood from him. So I started checking some of my channels and some of my contacts and friends. And Bob Zetterman, which was a Model Haus dealer, he was a reseller of Model Haus, and he lived out here during the winter months in Arizona, and he had another place up in Colorado. But he did a lot of Model Haus parts and stocked a lot of Model Haus parts. But he also had promos, and that's his main thing, was restoring promos. So I contacted him hoping that maybe he had a Model Haus hood, and I told him I was looking for a hood and possibly glass, and he had mentioned to me that he had glass from a promo and a hood from a promo body, that he would send me the damaged body and I can cut the hood away. And the body I got had a broken pillar, the fender was broken, but the hood was all molded in, but it was a promo body and it was brittle. And I remember when I was trying to cut the hood out, I got one side done and I was trying to work across here, and then the body just shattered and I broke off the corner. So this hood, I had to re-glue the corner, but once I got it off, I made it fit the body. So It's a little hard to get this hood. Here we go. So, like I said, this hood, I made the dog legs, and then I had to clean up the bottom side of the hood and remove the pins for the promo pins. But the hood came out really nice, and then there's the original-ish motor. So it's a 390. Pretty much spec'd out. Not exactly how the kit issue. This is actually from the SC Rambler, which has the more correct air cleaner, valve covers, and intake and carburetor that I prefer to use on these. So pretty much all of my AMXs and Javelins have that set up, even though the 68 through 70s have a different motor. And then the underside's all just the stock Johan stuff and just detailed and cleaned up. And the mirrors came from my parts block. I couldn't tell you where they came from, but the bases are chrome, but I used the Multi-Low pen, and I pinned them, and the mirrors came out great. And like I scratch built that spoiler. The front spoiler was actually scratch built as well. Well, not really scratch built. It was from the 69 Revell Camaros, the Z28s and RSSSs. And I just sanded off the two little squares, and it pretty much just fits this bumper without any real issue. And the only other thing I added was the buddy seat is added. There's a video of me adding the buddy seat in there from the AMT 71 Charger kit. And I think that came out awesome. And then it's just detailed this thing out and painted and polished it and loving on it. But this car, just real pleased and happy with how this one came out. Especially, it was kind of funny that, you know, with so few of them out there and so little reference material, that when I was doing, and I showed in my videos that I did for you guys, when I was getting ready to do the paint job, Hemmings Muscle Machine came in, and one of these was featured in the magazine. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. And I was using those pictures to help me reference the paint job and line it up. They had a really good side shot, and that's in that video. And then after I got it painted and I was working on the interior, I also have pictures of the other car I ran into when I actually went to the Deer Valley Airport here locally for breakfast, and there was one of these sitting in the parking lot. And I share that in my last video on this, and running into that car and finding out it was also one of the 100. And shortly after that, I got back on the registry and was checking. I don't know if that specific car is in the registry, but there are only 36 cars in the registry of the 100. So there are 36 known to exist according to the registry. So I mean, that's less than one per state. And I think it's just amazing that I ran into that, talked to the current owner, and it's one of the originals. And beautiful, beautiful car. Love to run into him and show him this, or at least you know email the link to this video so he can see this. But I'm just super excited about this one, and getting another one in my Javelin collection here, and getting them going here. But I've got a few more Javelins to do, but I really need to get one of those 68s done. That's the only two I've got left. I haven't built a 68, and I've done a 69, these two 70s, and I've got 71 through 73 done. So I have not done a 68, and I have not done a 74 yet. I have the kits, so that's not a problem. I just haven't actually done them. So that's going to be one of my next Javelins. Although you saw the other 70 I got, that's a funny car that I got from Bernie. But that one will probably get built. I'm working on the bumper on that one right now because I'm just getting some stuff ready for chrome and getting that done. But just wanted to share this and show it off. You might be getting a little tired of all my Javelins and Trans Ams and AMXs that I've been building. But there's a lot more variety in my collection, and I'll be featuring and showing a lot of them. So thank you for subscribing, and thank you for your comments, and I appreciate you guys tuning into my channel and enjoying this stuff. So with that, thank you, and you have a wonderful day.